All right then, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to today's episode of the Cryptoverse. I've been a bit annoyed with myself recently because I've been a bit inconsistent with the old videos, but I'm not a robot, so I mean, even if I make a commitment to do one every day, I can't guarantee to fulfill on that because, I'm not all powerful, So anyway, today I got an opportunity to make a video. So the story I want to talk about today, my remit to myself was to make a video about current events and facts with significance. So that's the boundary for this video. And what I've got here is I came across an article on BTC Manager, and the title was UK cash system may be heading towards a collapse, according to a recent report. And I thought, interesting for us cryptocurrency investors, right? Because UK physical cash system, well, now we're in the digital cash world, and ultimately the crypto cash world is where we want to get to. So let's see what we've got here. So there's the access to cash review is this report, and it stated that 17% of the UK population are using cash on a day-to-day basis still. So that accounts for about 8 million people. So I calculated that to be like 47 million people live in the UK. So that's that. Now, if the cash infrastructure collapses, well, that's a problem for those people, right? Because those 8 million people are still using cash on a day-to-day basis. So what the hell is the cash infrastructure? Well, that means things like ATMs and then cash stored at banks that you might want to, withdraw and then use. So why is there a risk of a collapse was a question I asked myself. And it turns out that the UK is seeing a gradual rise in digital payments. I think that's pretty typical around the world, isn't it? Companies are then gradually stopping, cash acceptance. So you can't pay with cash anymore. So, I actually spoke to a guy. I rang Adam Taylor from the Access to Cash Review, and he picked the phone straight up. So, and we had a good old chat. So he was very, very helpful. Shout out to Adam from the Access to Cash Review. And what did I ask him? I asked him a whole bunch of questions. And I was talking about, he said, like coffee shops and pubs, say, where they might have like the vast, vast majority of their payments being made by like contactless tap to pay, which is big in the UK, right? Super easy. It's just brilliant, right? So if a coffee shop gets to that point, accepting cash, banking it, and having the flipping van come and pick it up and security and blah, 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 just becomes such a pain and it's unprofitable, right? And of course, these economies of scale disappear in the opposite directions. So that would be the expense of smallness is the opposite of the economies of scale, I suppose. So economies of scale, more people use it, you can find efficiencies and so on, but the opposite happens. As a market shrinks, like use of cash, well, then the wholesale infrastructure, manufacturers of ATM machines and all that sort of stuff becomes less and less profitable because there's more volume in it, right? So those would be the instances. Now, moving on from there, what else did I write down here? If more people are using digital payments and this trend continues, well, that 8 million people figure will keep falling, which is like, okay, it'll become less of a problem it'll become a problem for less people. But in the meantime, there's this gap where this is under my heading of why is the collapse a problem, right? Why is the collapse of the cash system a problem? It's a problem for those 8 million people. But the Access to Cash Review says that cash should continue to be accepted for essential services. So let me get back to that in a second. But then I was thinking, well, and Adam agreed with me on this one. The cash system, the physical cash boat, is sinking quicker than a replacement is available, right? So everyone's like, get off the boat, because it's sinking. Well, there's nowhere to step yet, So some people just get paid in cash. This is going back to the what the hell do we mean by essential services? And I asked Adam about that, and he said things like, okay, so say you are paid in cash, then essential services would be like utility companies, council tax, things like that. Those are essential services you have to pay for, and if those services don't accept cash, well, that's a problem because everyone needs them. So you can't be having people who are paid in cash then not able to pay their council tax or their electricity bill, right? It's just not cool. That's that's a kind of a human right thing, I suppose. So that's what we mean by essential services. He also said like 6 out of 10 payments were made in cash 10 years ago. So that's 60%. 60% of payments in the UK were cash 10 years ago, and we're now down to 17%. So that's going to continue to decline. So yes, it'll become less of a problem. Like I say, eventually it won't be a problem because no one will be using it. But in the meantime, there's this interim thing. And I asked him, like, okay, I recognize it. It's one of those problems. This is more of an abstract problem in sort of business and economics and, the difference between public services and private services. It's one of those problems where the last set of people to adopt a new technology are at risk of being left out in the cold, because there's still a group of people that need cash in this case, but are a shrinking market. That's exactly the point. The commercial businesses don't really want to be in a shrinking market. They want to be in a growing market, right? Because over time they want to grow, they don't want to shrink. So that's why it's a downward spiral as opposed to an upward spiral. If you're in a growing market, it's an upward spiral, because even if you're just mediocre, you're being carried with the tide, Whereas if you are starting a business in a shrinking market, well, it's going to get harder as the years go on. So that's a problem. That's where the gap is created, right? So he also talked about, think about the postal system, 8% less mail is sent every year. So the use of the postal system is falling as well. So where's the gap here? Well, we talked about digital doesn't yet work for everybody. That's the problem. That you might ask that question. So why don't these outliers, why don't these laggards, we might call them, why don't they just use digital? Why don't they just get with the program? Why don't they just adopt the new digital way? Well, because digital doesn't work for everybody. So internet connection. There's other problems back of it. There are other fundamental things that needs resolving, like the broadband infrastructure, for example. If that was ubiquitous, there we go. So things like that. I've yet to look into 5G. So I know some of you are going to say 5G. I had some stuff about 5G, so I need to do some research on that because it's got my attention now. I'm like, maybe 5G is the solution, but you don't need that fast an internet. That's the thing. How fast does it need to be? I mean, to solve this digital payments problem, you don't need that fast of an internet connection, right? 4G would do fine, and you could do digital payments and so on, bit of training and blah blah blah, and Bob's your uncle. And also, the reason this is of interest to me as a crypto investor and someone who provides information to other crypto investors, I'm thinking, well, to me, I can see crypto being the solution. I'm not a fan of having, I suppose, the commercial banks fill this gap with fiat digital currency. Not a fan of that at all, because it's not cash. It's not really cash, is it? It doesn't mirror cash in the sense that the British pounds in my wallet, the physical paper, is mine and it's private and it's in my own possession and it's a bearer asset and things like that. And we want a digital equivalent of that. We don't want to swap physical cash for some alternative which is not cash. You want everything that cash gives us, but a digital version, and that's what crypto is. So I'm really enthusiastic about the possibility of the UK really leading the way on this, and I'm glad I suppose that this problem of the cash system is arising in the UK, because that opens up an opportunity for crypto to show itself as a viable solution for when this happens to other countries, right? So this is an opportunity. This is an opportunity for anybody, right, in the crypto space. Any crypto businesses, exchanges, all manner of different companies could use this problem as a huge opportunity to push crypto forwards. And what's ironic about this is that while I've spent the whole time here talking about how the cash system is shrinking and becoming unprofitable, well, energy isn't created or destroyed, is it? It just moves somewhere else. So what happens to all of that? So here, 6 out of 10 payments in the UK were made in cash 10 years ago. Well, the fact that that's now down to 1.7 or 17%, 1.7, is that right? It doesn't matter. Now 17% of the payments in the UK are cash instead of 60%. Well, where's all the other stuff gone, right? Where's all those other payments gone? Well, they've gone somewhere, haven't they? They've absolutely gone somewhere. And so there's still 8 million people of daily transactions that demand is up for grabs, right? So if a crypto company takes this on and seizes the opportunity to serve those 8 million people before they're forced to switch to a digital fiat inferior alternative, then that'll do all of us in the crypto space a grand service. So that's the opportunity that I've opened up today, and those are the facts of the situation. That's the significance. There's the opportunity. So I offer it to the whole crypto community, someone to grab that if you feel called to and run with it. All right. That's all I've got for you today. So I'll be back tomorrow with another news story and the facts and the significance. Maybe that's the new tagline for the Cryptoverse. So hit the like button, will you? If you like this kind of content, then hit the old subscribe button. Unless you're already subscribed, in which case leave it alone. And also, one of my favorite things is when I get an email saying you've got a new patron. Because I really do appreciate people supporting me to make this content. Really do appreciate that. So if you can find it in yourself to spare $5 digital a month or more, then check out my Patreon page. You can go to the website, thecryptoverse.show. If you click on support the show, you can watch my little trailer that tells you about how you can get cryptocurrency rewards for being a supporter. So there's something in it for you. So check it out. That's all I've got for you today. I've got other things on my to-do list. So I'm going to go do those now. I'll be back. So until then, it's me, Chris Coney, saying bye for now.